Just to preface, I do agree with basic logic's tier list placement, despite me being an atheist. I always look forward to his new uploads. This video is mainly just an atheist's point of view and addresses some of his poorly constructed arguments. First, his critique of pure materialism. Basic logic states that pure materialism is a radical form of atheism. It derives its legitimacy by appealing to science and empiricism, then proceeds to make the most unscientific and demonstrably false claim possible by stating that energy and matter can be self-caused or eternal. The only issue with the statement is that it assumes pure materialists are 100% certain about the nature of the universe and recite science with absolute certainty. This already assumes a Reddit atheist kind of atheism. And to be fair, a large number of atheists do recite science like scripture, but they're not exactly the best intellectual representative for materialism. Many intellectually honest materialists are fine hovering in ambiguity because we don't have to believe a model of the universe to be 100% certain to live. As far as we observe, everything that exists is only matter and consciousness is a byproduct of the body's physics. Any claim of something transcendental is just an extra layer of philosophical and story interpretation. He also claims
But it has two fatal flaws. First, it cannot solve the hard problem of consciousness. A worldview that can't explain you can't explain the world.
he already operates under certain presuppositions. First is that neurochemistry and physics is insufficient for the phenomena of consciousness to exist. Therefore, something transcendental and spiritual must be involved. What source is he appealing to make such a claim? A materialist simply observes the world. A man undergoing surgery is to be sedated and goes unconscious. Why did he go unconscious? The pharmacologic properties of the anesthetics and other sedatives are causing their intended inhibitory effects on the drug site of action. The man's unconsciousness is therefore caused by drugs interacting with the organ, in this case, the brain. We can extrapolate this logic to other mental conditions like schizophrenia, Alzheimer's disease, amnesia, anxiety, and depression. Mental illness does not explain why subjective experience exists, but it demonstrates how deeply the contents, reliability, and continuity of that experience depend on the physical brain. Alter the organ, and you alter the person's experienced reality. That does not necessarily prove materialism with absolute certainty, but it gives materialism a substantial empirical foundation that merely calling consciousness spiritual does not provide. Don't even start with the damaged radio receiver analogy. That's an abyss tier level argument. That analogy at best describes a possibility rather than an explanation. The hard problem of subjective consciousness is still a mystery, but its mystery is just another territory of science that is still left unexplored. The hard problem of consciousness does not disprove materialism. No religion or philosophy sufficiently explains it either. Religion, calling it spiritual, often just renames subjective consciousness. The fact a gap is present in our knowledge does not mean a separate spiritual substance exists. The second is that he makes a claim that a worldview that can't explain you can't explain the world. This is already nonsensical because not even religion provides a sufficient explanation for the hard problem of consciousness. At best, religion and philosophy are just storytelling in attempts to construct an explanation. Even Christianity fails this criteria. He, of course, arbitrarily accepts Christianity's answer as the thing that solves the hard problem of consciousness. Going back to the statement about materialists claiming energy and matter can be self-caused or eternal, that statement in general assumes materialists are a monolith. The origin of the universe theories are, for the most part, just the current best models we have. Even I'm not particularly convinced by any of them. Any materialist who speak with certainty has already fallen into the trappings of dogma. Much of the trust we materialists place in science still resembles faith. It's a pragmatic kind of faith because these models show reliable results and explanations. A provisional judgment at best. We revise once better models surface. Every good faith intellectual has to possess some level of ontological humility. Materialism's internal consistency and coherence is obviously 5 stars. Basic logic satirizes the view by assuming that all materialists make claims and believe that energy and matter can be self-caused or eternal. Materialism has no scripture, and we are not obligated to treat science as objective fact. I'm even hesitant to even rate it for the application to human nature because it explains human nature, but it does not aid in providing a framework to harness human nature, unlike religion or philosophy. Its historical credibility is irrelevant because its credibility is based on how close their descriptions are about reality. It makes no moral claims or provide a narrative that makes existence coherent. Materialism alone has no civilizational drive. On basic logic's conclusion of Christianity, he rated every category from internal consistency, historical credibility, philosophical coherence, and application to human nature 5 stars. He didn't really do a comprehensive part on Christianity, but from an atheist perspective, I would still rate Christianity as the only S tier, not just religion, but belief system in general. I don't particularly value internal consistency because anything can be internally consistent from a philosophy's arbitrary rules and claims. Nor do I particularly care that its supernatural claims are untrue. I do, however, care about its application to human nature. I will make a claim about Christianity the same way I made claims about materialism earlier in the video. Christianity has produced the strongest and most dominant culture to exist on Earth. Much of the Western Enlightenment values we have today in the modern world are arguably offshoots from Christian values. It provides the most effective framework for development from the individual to the societal.